Hello viewers, it is no secret that members of the First Nations have dealt with too much violence, whether it is through colonization or systemic racism. Today, we look at an inquiry into the heartbreaking cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, and how the government is failing to take action. It started with the efforts of Queensland Liberal Senator Paul Scar, fellow Queensland Senator Dorinda Cox, and Lydia Thorpe, an independent, to trigger an inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. Senator Scar has described the impact of the violence on families and communities as impactful and difficult to bear. What is worse is that if more Australians knew about the plight of First Nations women and children, they would be horrified by the struggles they are facing. The inquiry heard from families of loved ones who have gone missing or been killed, and it was revealed that the common problem between them all is the lack of resources for Indigenous women's safety and legal services, coupled with the fact that many are met with lack of evidence. To make matters worse, there is a reason why these cases are not widely reported. First Nations people's attempts to report these cases are often met with systematic failures of the police, resulting in feeling of insecurity and fear. Hannah McGlade, a member of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues and women's safety advocate, is one of the people actively supporting these families. She explains how Aboriginal women's lives are not valued, and how they are dealt with in horrific ways. This is why she demands change and reform, as well as accountability from the perpetrators. We need to ensure that these lives are not lost and forgotten. This is an ongoing battle because as more families testify to their tragic stories, more evidence is gathered about the events, and the inquiry can move forward to take action. Yet we have to keep in mind that this action needs to be more than symbolical. Real changes and measures of support for the First Nations communities have to be put in place, and we must ensure that these women and children are kept safe at all costs. To do so, we must commit to learning and understanding their cultures, and instructing law enforcement to do so as well. We must work towards removing the barriers that prevent missing persons reports and see justice through. We also need to understand how colonialism has contributed to the violence and take concrete steps to preventing it. Until then, I encourage everyone who is able to speak up and support the First Nations and their plight, and to never forget the many lives lost and the many still in danger because of the systemic racism, violence and lack of action that has long surrounded them. Thank you for watching.